a quick tutorial video in real time that will show you how you can create this nice autumn landscape. For this tutorial, I'm using Aseprite software, a 240 by 240 pixel canvas, and a palette titled Borkfest. The link to the palette is in the description. Okay, let's get started. We go to New File. We create a new sprite of 240 by 240 pixels, leave everything else at its defaults. Now we've got our new drawing here, our new canvas. To get our palette imported, we go up to the hamburger menu here, load palette, and today we are using Borkfest, a nice autumny color palette. Okay. So to begin with, we're going to go to the properties of this first layer and create a dark background layer. We're going to use our darkest color here and just fill that in. Next, we're going to create a layer for the sky. And I'm just right-clicking on the layer and going to properties so I can rename it. We'll use our selection tool to select about the top half of the canvas here, and we're going to use our second brightest color and just fill that with the paint bucket. Next, we're doing a new layer and we're going to add the vignette around the outside here. So properties, vignette. And here we're going to use our circular selection tool, Shift M, or you can come to the menu up here, click and hold and select the circular selection tool. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go from about pixel point 22 on the grid here, all the way down here to the corresponding spot on the other side, which I think is right there. Okay, now we're going to select the inverse here and fill it in with our dark color. Okay, now we'll add all of our layers underneath that vignette layer going forward. So we're going to do a new layer, and you can do Shift P to bring up the properties of the layer to rename it quickly. And this is going to be our sun. With our brightest color, we do the circular selection tool, and I think we want about a 40 pixel by 40 pixel sun, and we'll just add that there. Readjust my preview window here. Okay. Now we're going to add in the hills. We're going to have a bunch of hill layers, so I'm going to just start naming them by number. Hill 1 here. And for Hill 1, we're going to start with this third brightest color. And we're just creating some lazy hills here. And we need to fill those in. So I complete our area here so it's all closed in so I can paint bucket it. Alright, there's our first hills layer. Now we do Shift L, Shift P, Hill 2, our next color. And I kind of hold down the Shift button here to create some. When you hold the Shift button, it gives you a line tool. And I'm just holding down the Shift button as I go here. I think we're hiding too much of that background hill there, so we're gonna start over on this one. We're gonna drop down a little quicker here. And we'll fill that one in. We don't need to worry about this spot here because our next hill layer, Shift N, Shift P, Hill 3, is going to cover it. It's going to come in from that right side. Okay, another hill layer, Shift L, Shift P, Hill 4, close that in and fill it. And our final hill layer, Shift N, Shift P, Hill 5, is this dark brown color here. Okay. Let's step back and take a look at these here. Kind of want to adjust Hill 2 a little bit. That's this orangey one here. Get a bit more of it in view. And maybe Hill 1. We'll erase a little bit of it here. Maybe add another little mound here. I just don't want it to resemble too closely any of the shapes of the other layers. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some mist for the mountains here. And to begin that, we're going to add a new layer in front of Hill 1. And we're just going to call this Mist 1. And we're going to pick the color one value brighter. And near the bottom of the hills here, we're just going to add in some mistiness, doing some horizontal strokes. We don't want it to go up too high because that mist settles. Okay, now we make another mist layer behind Hill 2. We call it Mist 2. And we go one color darker for this one. And that's good for that one. Mist 3 behind Hill 3. Oops, I called it Mist 3. And a bit darker. Okay, we might come back and do some adjustments to this a little bit later. Let's do one more mist layer. Mist 4. Okay. And now we're going to go back through those mist layers and we're going to go to the properties and we're actually going to drop the opacity to about 140 for each of them. What this is going to do is it's going to help the mist blend into the mountains a little bit more. Alright, now that we've got our hills in place, let's go back to our sun and click V on the keyboard to do the move tool. And let's move it down, just peeking over the hills. This is kind of a sunset here. Okay, now we're ready to add the lake here. Shift L, Shift P, lake. And we're going to do a pretty bright color for the lake. I'm going to use the marquee selection tool to select everything here and just fill it out. And before we do any details on the lake, we're going to do a new layer. This is going to be our foreground. And we're going to use the same color as the vignette, but we're going to add like some close-up rocks here. There we go. Okay, now let's go back to the lake and start adding in some detail here. Let's make the lake a little darker since it is a sunset here. We've got the sun coming right down this line towards our view. So the lake on either side of that line is going to be a bit darker. So let's go ahead and add in some of those darker areas. And here we just do some shaky hand horizontal strokes. Then once we get off the screen, go all the way to the bottom and fill in that side. Come back up, see where our sun is. Another shaky hand horizontal stroke. Once we're off the screen, we go all the way to the bottom and fill the outside. Then it's good to add just a few lines of the brighter color out in the dark area here. It would make sense that the lines got a little bigger as they come towards the camera, or our view in this case. Okay. And now let's pick the color of the sun here, and this is going to be the direct reflection of the sun. And that one's going to come right at us. Going to get a bit narrower as it gets close to us. Add some bits in the background here. Not the background, the furthest point of the lake away from our view here. Now to add something that is a bit of a focal point, I want to add a sailboat in here. So let's create a new layer above our lake. Name it Sailboat. And we're going to use our darkest color. And we're just going to kind of muck in a quick sailboat-ish shape here. Maybe something like that. It's got a mast coming out of its front area. And then a big old sail. And we'll fill that in. Maybe we'll connect it here and here. Now we need to add some shadows that the sailboat would be casting. The mast here is going to cast a short triangular shadow. That seems good enough there. And then finally, in the foreground, let's add some silhouettes of some grasses and plants that are closer to our view here. Oops. Didn't close in my shape there before using the paint bucket. And I'll kind of speed through this here. Okay, that looks good for the foreground grasses there. I think we're just about done. I kind of want to do something with the sky. It's a little bland up top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a color that's a tiny bit brighter, and we're going to do a bit of a manual gradient here. So I'm going to first start out on one side and do single pixel width. I'll go up a couple pixels here. Then we'll increase our brush size to maybe one bigger. One bigger again. Just making some increasingly large lines here. We're also decreasing the amount of bright color space in there. And then we will fill out the top here with orange. Okay, and that's about it. This is a nice orangey Halloween lake scene here. It's not really spooky, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all again next time. Thank you.